Like it or not, Portal is one of the best games our modern society had the pleasure to witness, being praised by a lot of reviewers like GameSpot and IGN. They have flooded the game with positive comments. But there is a fact that a lot of people don't really know about. Valve does have some sort of a passion for making comics, like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Team Fortress, and also Left 4 Dead. Portal has its own small comic. Well, if we're going to talk about it technically, it's a one shot because there is no sequel after it. But away from it being a side commercial, this comic really introduced us to a character that the only appearance of it in the game was bound to some empty rooms. The comic book really uncovered some pretty good sides of the main story that the game itself didn't completely talk about.
Do you enjoy my videos? Do you want to see more? Or perhaps you watch all of my videos and hate the unreasonable uploading time? Then look no further for our today's sponsor, me. Yes, you heard it right, me. By subscribing, you support a guy that sold his soul to content creation, push content more consistently, and reduce the waiting. So what are you waiting for? Click subscribe now and save someone's sanity. Subscribing is fully optional. Possible side effects include localized brain damage and unexpected product delays. All rights reserved for the respective owner.
The first page began with some sort of a speak about our minds and how do they see reality, till we see the guy that is the protagonist of this comic, and he is scribbling on the walls what seems like instructions. He sees Shell jumping from a portal, thinking to himself that she isn't real, and knowing that even turrets won't shoot her. But surprisingly, they do. And at this right moment, he knows that she is real, saying that the end is finally upon us. But what end? He runs to a locker room to get some sort of a medicine. From the paper stuck on it, we know that he saved it for this moment, with the companion cube telling him not to do it. Yeah, yes, the companion cube in the comic talks. And with that, we get a flashback. A guy which obviously is Ratman, but looking cleaner. Noticing that two scientists talking behind his back, saying that there is cameras on the cameras, mumbling that he will never notice. From how nervous he is, he starts throwing the bag, and a medicine reveals ziprasidone. Zebra. Ziprasid. Ziprasid. I'm not saying it.
Ziaprasidone.
Which tells us that Ratman is suffering from schizophrenia. We jump back to the present, and he's holding the pills while the companion cube is still trying to convince him not to do it. He reasons it with him needing to be more mind cleared for this moment. So he swallows it, but the effect doesn't really start right at the moment. It takes time to start, and we see him sprinting in the place. Seems like he have memorized all the facility, and his schizophrenia has a role in it. While in the page, the companion cube is the one that gives him directions. The cube itself is a solid object that does not talk, and we saw that in the game. But as we see, instead of his schizophrenia turning into some random sounds that talk in his head, seems like his condition channels itself to the cube. So he thinks that the cube is talking to him while technically he's not. And we finally see him finishing a big artwork of Shell. Then the cube asks where she is now, with him answering that she is in the final chamber. The cube doesn't really have any high hopes for her to finish this job, but Ratman seems more certain that she is the most qualified person for this mission. And while he's saying that, an explosion happens. The place is left in ruins, but he is fine for the most part. For him to get up and go and help the cube, which doesn't seem damaged either. And he was right, she destroyed GLaDOS. She did it, and the suffering is finally over. We go again in a flashback to the past. Ratmans have been late for some experiment, finding Henry on what seems like the early version of GLaDOS. He said that he had to hit the kill switch again, while explaining that working on it is fun, saying that every generation has something to dive in, like relativity and traveling to the moon. I mean, we see it right now happening, while, yes, not quite the same level of sci-fi we're seeing in the comics, but we're seeing something similar. Ratman counters the argument, saying that it only takes a fragment of a second for this AI to try and kill them all, saying that he would have rather gone to the moon instead. We stop on this beautiful artwork with the companion cube asking about the girl, and where did she go? He concludes that she might have already left the place, with both also planning to leave the facility. The cube still warned him about the turrets, which are still active. He manages to leave the place and get out. They hear something near them, so they hide quickly. We see Shell getting dragged back in, the same scene that we see in the ending of the game. But in this comic, we see who actually dragged her, which looks like the same core that was built in GLaDOS, but having arms. Quite interesting. We go back in the past again, seeing both of them in the lab. He asks him to put his hand and adjust something. A funny thing in this page was how he just casually asked him to not use his dominant hand, having a possibility of it just getting chopped off. After this, he asks Frank about it, saying just the latest AI and habitation technology. As I thought in the beginning of writing the script of Portal 1, it is just some sort of an artificial consciousness. In the two panels connecting us to the present, we see him saying that he needs to save her, but the cube is saying the opposite, showing the divide in his personality. He is sick and tired of running away and hiding, like, obviously a rat. While, yes, the cube is right and his point stands, the entire time of him surviving this place was just him running away and hiding. But he doesn't think that he would forgive himself if he leaves her, just unconscious to die. Ratman says that he at least needs to try and help her because without her he wouldn't have just made it outside. For the cube to just scream about how stupid he is. He gets in and the medicine starts to kick in with the sound of the companion cube fading away, proving that it is just his condition channeling into the cube. And he sees her in the long-term relaxation pod. He checks the grid of her chamber and it is offline. With life support also offline, the chances of her surviving is pretty low. He tries to ask the companion cube which direction should he jump, but he doesn't reply. He goes and jumps anyway for him to just get shot in the leg and stumble. He is bleeding while with stuttering voice saying that he should keep going. Going back to the past, we see GLaDOS and she did in fact kill all the people in the facility, except for him. GLaDOS tries to convince him that it's just hallucinations with his schizophrenia. While yes, he doesn't buy it, it's quite smart to be honest, I would tell him that. So he doesn't stop, and in the present, he just faints on the floor. We go back to see how GLaDOS confirmed that she is no longer wanting to kill. So she asked for some neurotoxin for scientific reasons, for our friend Frank to just give her some. The medicine effect faded away, which made the cube come back and start talking again. So the last thing he can do is attaching her chamber to the reserve generator that is still intact to keep her alive, which he succeeds at. After that, even himself gets into a pod to get some rest. With the pod closed, all the files get scattered and we see the testing results for Shell. A rejected stand beside it. He made a connection with something that everyone sees as a normal object that doesn't really have a soul, and how this disability helped him navigate through the facility. And with that, those were the entirety of the 27 pages. Honestly, I have nothing negative to say. Character building and the pacing of the events, with writing of the story, are in good term together, which made the comic very good. In an old-fashioned style, Valve left the comic at a cliffhanger, so you don't know if Ratman have died from bleeding or he survived. And the comic itself has a massive connection to the game. Using a comic separately to show us a main character is smart. The timeline is different between the game and the comic. That would be draining, and also, who wouldn't like reading a comic? Also, it's pretty short and don't really take time for you to finish. So yes, play the first sequel, read the comic, then play the second sequel. Finally, I don't recall anything that took me this amount of time to finish. This video already took me a lot of time and effort to make, so yeah. Also, on consideration that school was really beating the shit out of me lately, so finally, summer vacation, we're finally done. The slavery is over. Well, not for so long, only 3 months and we'll be back, so yeah. Till the next time, stay safe.